Merry Christmas! Think I need some new gloves? Yay! This is a tradition in my house. My wife gets me some new gloves every year. These are the Costco brand. I hope they don't stop carrying these because I've really just gotten used to them. After a year, they wind up looking like that. If I had done that, if I'd worn gloves better when I was younger, my hands wouldn't be nearly as bad as they are right now. So, pro tip. Or amateur tip, whatever way you want to look at it. My other two presents are boat presents. This is going to be sweet. The old one I had died. It was the older-fashioned battery technology that was never all that reliable to begin with. And then, ta-da! I'm going to pop this baby open and put it on a power supply, and really curious to hear. I was checking them out in the store, and at my particular West Marine, they didn't have these speakers mounted in their not display panel, but you know, the panel where you could try it out. So the only speakers I got to try were either the really cruddy, you know, West Marine brand ones, which sounded like, you know, elevator music, and the higher end ones that were like $200 a pair, like the Sonys. And of course, there's a huge difference there, and I don't know what these sound like. So I'll be setting these up real quick. The stereo itself sounded fine through the through the good speakers. And by the way, this was on sale. It's normally $100, and it was on sale for $70. And I think they do that every year. So, all right, we're getting there. Speakers seem substantial. Supposed to be 100-watt max. I don't know about all that. I'm not going to destruct test them. The head unit. It's interesting. Pretty sure this will fit right in the hole where the old unit. It's in the boat right now. It's like a JBL or something from like the 80s. But I think the face is the same. But it's interesting how, you know, if you're an old guy like me, are used to something always being about this long, because I think they always used to have some kind of either a tape or a disc or something, and it required a mechanism back here for all that. You don't need any of that anymore because everything's, you know, USB, Bluetooth, yada yada. So I mean, honestly, I think this thing could probably be a lot smaller than this if they wanted to. I mean, you could probably make something about that big that does everything nowadays, because all you really need here is the buttons. But yeah, I'll be coming with a little wiring harness, and I'll be wiring that up. I mean, honestly, it doesn't feel all that substantial, you know, but at the price point, I think it'll be just fine. It comes with a remote, which will actually, in my boat, come in handy where I'm putting it. I don't know so much if this was mounted in a skiff or something. You know, I think this is supposed to be rated for, you know, cockpit. I'm going to have it below decks, so that should extend its lifespan considerably. And where I'll have it, it'll be very useful to be able to use a remote. It comes with this antenna. Haven't been too successful with these in the past. We shall see. Yeah, speaker wire. And I think that's everything. So now I just got to get to putting it all together.
Small way for us to help you find exactly what you're looking for. Give it a try now by searching jobs
I
for
gotta
veterans
say,
on
the speakers
Google.
I'm not impressed by.
Want to lower your auto payment and earn a little extra cash? Refinance your auto loan.
I gotta be
with
careful
First
about
Advantage.
playing music or else I'll get all tagged. But yeah, they're pretty tinny. Unfortunately, the good speakers that were in the boat previously got ruined by the Great Flood. So I was hoping these would do the trick, but they don't hold a candle to what was in there. So I'll probably be looking for some upgrades of some sort. The head unit itself worked great, and I'm excited to have Bluetooth. That'll be nice. So the speakers that came with this cheap little stereo sounded awful, and I knew this sounded pretty good with decent speakers because I was able to demo it with decent speakers in the display at the store. So I was going to shop for some decent speakers, and then my buddy said, "Hey, you want some speakers?" I mean, I'm serious. It was just perfect timing. It's like, "Hey, I got some speakers kicking around my garage. These used to be patio speakers or something, but from the previous owner of the house, and if you want them, they're yours." And so I'm like, "JBL? Sure, yeah. I'll give this a shot." That's kind of exactly what I was looking for. I wanted to do with something like a bookshelf. And when I wired them in, they sounded okay. I mean, actually, they sounded good, but you had to drive the volume all the way to the max. So I was kind of curious, what the resistance to them was. The original speakers that came with the kit are 4 ohms, so I figured, oh, maybe these are 8 ohms and high powered and yada yada. Anyway, I metered them out, and they were coming up at like 90 some ohms. And what? So I looked up this model number, and they still sell these. These speakers are old. They've been out, and that yellowing is from weather. But they still sell these, and they sell them for like $200 a piece, a pair. And they're meant to run on like 70 to 100 volts, which I've never done PA work or anything like that, but that's, if you're trying to run speakers long distances, I guess that is a practice to maintain signal. And so I went ahead and popped this one open, and inside of it was this transformer. And I decided to take a chance and say, well, what if I just eliminated the transformer? Maybe this transformer is what drops it from that 70 to 100 down to typical speaker, voltages. I mean, they just look like regular speakers, right? So I did it, and so here's your speaker inputs, and I joined up the yellow and the red, just from looking at the transformer. The yellow and the red, the black and the green. This was with the speaker all together, and it sounded great. So I haven't done that unit yet, but first I wanted to go ahead and solder the connections, so I went ahead and disassembled it completely so I can get to these wires and get some shrink wrap and solder them up nicely, and then I'll put it all back together. But hoping that when we're done here, I'll have a pair of nice cheap speakers that are actually very good speakers that I just happen to get cheap. And these cases are made to be painted, so I'm going to paint them. The easy choice would be to go white, like original. I think that black with the white grill would look actually pretty cool. And who knows, maybe I'll go crazy and paint them red or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, unfortunately I can't demo them, because what happens if you put any music on YouTube, then you get flagged for copyright violations. So as much as I'd like to demo them, I can't really, but trust me, they sound good. I'm happy. I should have a nice stereo for when I'm hanging out at the floating man cave. I do like to listen to the radio. So that'll be good. I've also been doing a lot of research on switches and panels and things like that to replace that goober. And I'll talk about that in another video. I also wanted to show the, this is the, like I said, this is the inputs. And I don't know, I'm not an electronics guru. And I don't know too much about the wiring of these things. I know there's a big ass resistors. You got some capacitors in there, which I would assume are just for filtering. You got a coil, also, I would say, serves a filtering function. These, I believe, are for overload protection. But what I can't figure out about them, they're actual lights. And if I dig up the literature again that I found online, they describe them as lights. But that kind of surprises me that they would be lights, because you can't see them outside of this case. There's no opening that light passes through, so that you would know, oh no, we're in a overload situation. So these lights would just be shining on the interior of this enclosure, just bleeding off power so as not to blow the circuits, I guess. It's interesting. Anybody who knows anything about these systems, please be please chime in, because I'm curious. Alright, so Mr. Carlson's lab, this ain't, so we'll see how well we can pull this off. I have fluxed it up. That should hold. Alright. That should do well.
How we got into the college. Okay. Now Hamilton.
Alright, so
Really, water bottle.
here's the speakers painted up. I think they came out looking pretty good. They sound really good now.
To make your bags.
Yeah.
So my background was retail. Started out, I worked in the malls.
Way up. They're still missing the low end.
I worked in big box stores.
Turn it off just in case the music comes on. But they sound a lot better in the high and mid range than those others did. My buddy said, well, you didn't really give those other ones a chance because you didn't have them really mounted. The bookshelves take advantage of the actual enclosure to give a lot of the resonance. Those mountable speakers need to be mounted to something to get a true idea of their sound. So maybe I didn't give them a good enough chance, but they went bye-bye on Craigslist, so I'll never know. Meantime, this is the old stereo, and this now gets to go in the trash. Turns out I can't really reuse this without a lot of surgery, and it's already had some surgery done to it based on where it used to be mounted, so I'm not even going to use that. So this whole thing goes in the trash. Bye-bye. Alright, these are the old transformers that used to live inside the speaker. That's where the 90 ohm resistance was coming from. They test out as 8-ohm speakers now, which they should. Sound good, everything's hunky-dory. One other thing, this is going to live with the stereo now. This is an old Windows phone. It was kicking around in a drawer. They stopped supporting the Windows platform. Otherwise, I'd still be using it. Anyway, I found out you can get a 64 gig SD card nowadays for 10 bucks. So I got one. And now I basically have my entire musical library on here. It's taking a little while to populate. But, yeah. So, this will now have my entire musical library on my boat. That'll be nice.